Hey everybody, welcome back to Faraday Research. And been working on this flywheel generator pretty much all day today. And so anyways, I got this set up. It seems to run better when it's on its end. Seems to run smoother, but I have still a little bit too much wheel wobble. So when you see it, it's gonna wobble a bit. So I have to get it more true to be more safe. But the thing that I found interesting with this motor that I'm using, you can get them on Amazon. They're the motor generators. You can use them for windmills and small bikes and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good motor. I got this thing up to about 2,000 RPM with only about 5 volts. And I found that kind of intriguing because that means I can actually reduce the amount of power that I have to put into it to actually keep this thing running. Now, the way it's set up right now, it's not in the configuration the way it's actually going to operate. So there's going to be a reed switch with a magnet, one magnet. And what will happen is it's based on running on its own kinetic energy that's stored in the wheel. So I'll show you, I'll spin it up and then I'll actually shut the power off, and then you'll see how long that the wheel spins. So if it's running 2,000 revolutions per minute, that means it's gonna basically torque the wheel, change it into a motor for a split second, and keep the wheel spinning. So it's gonna do that about 2,000 times per minute. So with that, that means the motor is actually a generator for 360 degrees of its rotation. It's a generator, and then for the last 5 degrees, it's actually a motor that's actually pushing it forward, and that sustains its kinetic energy that's built into the wheel as it's spinning. It's got that kinetic energy with the weight behind it, and this is the way the world works. We're on a giant kinetic spinning wheel through the void of space. So I'm kind of reproducing that kind of a scenario in a mechanical device, and they call this a mechanical battery. So basically that's what I'm doing. I'm creating a mechanical battery. So this motor serves as two functions. One, it's a motor, and the other, it's a generator. So depending on how fast this wheel is spinning will determine how much voltage is going to be charging the battery. And there's a special circuit that I found on the internet. Like I said in my last video, it was like a needle in a haystack. There's literally very little documentation on this type of a generator, and I found it, and the circuit's actually very, very easy, very similar to a pulse motor, but it just works on a different type of a concept. So instead of having magnets all the way around, the actual prime or the actual motor that's doing all the work is this. It's a motor and a generator at the same time. So every time it makes that one revolution, it hits the magnet, trips the reed switch, and makes this into a motor for a nanosecond, and gives it a little bit of torque to keep that kinetic energy going. So if you got it running at 2,000 RPMs, in all theory, this thing should never stop. It should continue to spin. So I'm going to show you, it's wobbling too much. I got to get it more true. I might have to go to my plan B design, depending on how this pans out. But I'll just show you. You'll see it's got a bit of a wobble to it. So that's 7 volts. And it's already spinning over 1,000 RPM. I can just tell by the look of it. And it's pretty quiet. It's really pretty good. Now watch when I shut the power off, how long it runs for. Here, I'll tell you when I'm shutting the power off. Okay, so I'll get it up to 7 volts. All right, there's 7 volts. And it's running almost at an amp, so it does demand a little bit of power. Okay, so watch, I'm gonna shut it off now. Still going, still going, still going, still going, still going. Okay, and stop. So that's about 10 seconds or more of spinning. All right. So now every time it does 360 or 355 degrees, it's charging. And then when it hits that reed switch magnet that's going to be on the wheel, It's going to give it torque for that split nanosecond that's going to sustain this wheel in a motion. As long as, because I'm at a high RPM, when you, in the science that's behind it, when you got kinetic energy and you're moving at a very high velocity, bodies in motion tend to stay in motion, right? So therefore, it's like when you're going in a car, right? You're at a standstill, and when you gun it, you get thrown back into the seat. It's because the body in motion is going, but you're still sitting in the same spot. So because of gravity and the kinetic energy that's involved here, that's what creates that effect. So yeah, I think this is gonna work out pretty good. If I can get the wheel a little bit more true and a little bit more smoother of a run, like it already is pretty good right now. I thought I'd have a lot more wobble in it, but since I have somewhat of engineering background, it's working pretty good. So yeah, like it is wobbling, like you can see the wobble. So if I can get rid of that wobble, then I'm laughing. I think it could either be the shaft itself or the actual fittings that's holding the wheel together. So I can take this apart and pull the wheel out and try to readjust everything to make it, try to get it more true. But yeah, it's all part of engineering, right? You got to try a prototype. If it doesn't work as good as you want, then you go back to the drawing board and revamp your plans, right? So yeah, I like what I see so far, and also the fact that I'm only putting it in 7 volts. Like here's 7 volts. Okay, I already got about over 1,000 RPM going there, or very close to it. Now this thing is made to go 24 volts, so I would have an insane amount of speed at that velocity. Just having 5% of an actual push will sustain this wheel. Okay, I'm going to shut it off now. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000, 7 1000, 8 1000, 9 1000. 9 seconds, or 9 1000. So that's the kinetic energy. That's what they call a mechanical battery. You're storing energy in a moving body. So this wheel's about 3 or 4 pounds. It's not that heavy. If I were to have a heavier wheel, yeah, this thing would spin quite a bit longer. Now, a lot of more forces are involved, and the rig would have to be very, very strong to hold it, because you don't want a runaway with this thing. Send the wheel right through the wall. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna close up the enclosure eventually. If I go with this design, I might actually design a whole new rig altogether, but at least I've learned quite a bit from this. So that's all part of engineering and experimentation. You learn from where you go wrong, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But for a first mock-up, not too bad at all. That's the motor there. And yeah, so like I said, these parts here, that was actually prototypes for my end machine, and I chose them because they had bearing mounts right in it. So this thing is running on bearings. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm actually pretty happy with this quick little mock-up. So yeah, well, we'll see what happens, see where it leads. This is what I've been working on. And yeah, it's also pretty quiet too. It's not making much noise at all. Very quiet. So let's go 8. So yeah, I find it's going a little bit more stable at 8. So I'm finding that the faster I go with this thing. See, I don't like running it with not having the shields on it. That's 8. It's going pretty damn fast. And the shake, the actual vibration on it is pretty good. Yeah, so I'll have to anchor everything in. Like literally, I have this thing glued in right now. So It is strong, but you know, with the vibration, eventually that would break away. So I would have to actually fasten it down with screws or whatever. Yeah, but it's a quick mock-up. I just wanted to see how this thing would actually perform. So I think I'm on the right track. If I go to a new rig and redesign this whole thing, probably what I'll do is I'll eliminate these guys here, eliminate that altogether. And I got these bearing seat holder things that have 2 screws. And I would make a rig where it actually would sit on these 2 platforms. And they would be anchored in very, very securely. And then those bearing mounts there would be holding the axle of the wheel. So who knows, I could even go to a bigger wheel. Bigger wheel diameter means you're going to have more kinetic energy stored in that wheel. And that's what you call a mechanical battery. Anyways, I'm rambling on. Anyways, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you haven't become a member, bottom right hand corner, you can subscribe to the channel. I got a lot of other projects on the go. I made some really interesting finds in the HHO world. I found an old video with Moray King, and this lecture that I listened to just freaking blew my mind. And I might even actually start dabbling with that again, because I was working on that stuff back in 2005. So they've made some pretty big advancements since 2005 in the HHO world, and I've got some really cool insiders on the HHO world. I've seen a really, really good lecture with Moray King, and yeah, so I'll share all that stuff in the near future. Just going to be one of my side projects. Anyways, everybody, thumbs up. Don't forget my Patreon's in the description, and we'll see everybody soon.